So Ubisoft is responding to the statement that the senior producer for Assassin's Creed Unity stated earlier in the day, where they were talking about the resolution and frame rate for the next-gen consoles. They said that the game is going to be running 900p, 30 frames per second on both the PS4 and the Xbox One. And the senior producer said that the specs were locked in order to, quote, avoid debate and stuff. Now, Ubisoft PR stepping in, trying to backtrack a little bit. They said, to set the record straight, we did not lower the specs for Assassin's Creed Unity to account for any one system over the other. Assassin's Creed Unity has been engineered from the ground up for the consoles. And so they go on to say it's a process of building up towards our goals, not scaling down, and we're proud to say that we have reached those goals on all SKUs. And at no point did we decide to reduce the ambition of any SKU. So what they're saying is, look, we had goals in mind as to what we wanted our game to be able to do. And instead of starting with a top platform goal of, say, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and if we get there and the game doesn't work properly and you're losing frames and it's not smooth, instead of trying at that point to scale it back down, we just built it up. And so the game's running smooth at 900p, 30 frames per second right now, and so that's what they're going to roll with. So they're claiming that at no point was a game scaled back. So there is, of course, still going to be a lot of people who are upset about this. And a lot of people are saying, we need to cancel our pre-orders, blah, blah, blah. One, I don't ever pre-order anything anyway, so I've got nothing to cancel. But to be honest with you, I've never put into my brain the thought of not buying a game simply based on whether or not the resolution is a certain number. So, of course, I'm not going to start now. The game looks fun, and I think that's what matters the most. The game, they do say, is next-gen, they feel, because they say if you look at the AI that's on screen, they say the AI is going to move a lot more realistically than you've seen in a lot of other games, and there's a ton of them on the screen, which is pretty hard on the system itself. And they also mention that not only can you just scale the outside of structures, but you can also jump into a lot of these structures, and the game flows seamlessly inside the building, and everything is fully decorated and built, and there's no loading screens. So they say that this is a truly next-gen experience. As far as me personally goes, I see it from all points of view, and so that's why it's hard for me to come up with a really strong opinion on the issue, because I understand where everybody's coming from. As far as the consumer goes, you're going in and you want to know that whenever you buy a piece of software that you're buying the best piece of software that these people could possibly make. And you know that if you buy something and you know that they didn't put everything into it that they possibly could, that's a little bit disappointing. As far as a business standpoint goes, if you're making a game, does it make financial sense and development sense to pay certain developers to stay over, to work overtime, just to make sure that one version looks a tad bit better than the other version on another platform? Or does it make sense to pay these people to actually go ahead and work on future content or a brand new game instead? And so I don't really know that there's a right and a wrong answer. I'm not going to not buy a good game simply because a resolution doesn't meet a certain particular number, some magical number. There is none of that. As far as I'm concerned, a good game is a good game, and I'd rather have smooth gameplay rather than a game saying that, yes, we hit a certain number, but then the gameplay actually comes back and it suffers. And we have seen that already, where some games, they may have hit 1080p, but it wasn't able to handle it. Again, we're early on in the development cycle, and I think this is going to be a topic that continues to be talked about less and less, because it becomes more irrelevant, because more and more games on both systems are hitting these resolutions, and will continue to do so as developers get more comfortable with the systems. But as of right now, it's still a topic of discussion, and you know, you're going to have situations like this, and people are still going to question it. Did they lock it because one system is holding the other one back? Or did they build it up from the ground just to make sure that they have a stable build, and they got that stable build and they're leaving it at that? You know, we will find out. Links down in the description box if you want to read more about it. That does for me, the Red Dragon. Post your thoughts down below. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.